Tonight we wind the clock back to 1998 with Alex Proyas' Dark City, starring Rufus Sewell, Kiefer Sutherland, Jennifer Connelly, William Hurt, and this guy. This is a bizarre one. It's one that you've got to see to believe and believe to see. A lot of this film seems to have wound up in a film that came out a whole year later. And what might that film be, do you think? This film came out 1 year before The Matrix. And it's true, it did come out 1 year before The Matrix. And it's funny because a lot of the elements in this film just magically appear in The Matrix. And it's funny because this film was filmed at the same studios down under. Now, I am very lucky tonight to have with me the eclectic goat, who's here with us. Hello, how are you?
Hello. Did you know they even used a bunch of the same set pieces?
They did, and a lot of the people, although one of the stranger men, if that's the correct term, appeared in both the second and final sequel of the first Matrix trilogy. The train driver is one of the strangers. It's bizarre, isn't it?
I have heard that The Matrix would never have gotten greenlit if it wasn't for this movie.
Do you know, I don't doubt that.
They thought it was they thought it might be too weird for people.
Yeah, and that worked out well. Also with us tonight is the one and only Phobos. Thank you for joining me tonight, mate.
Cheers. Good to be here. Man, I love this movie.
How much do you love it?
Well,
would you stroke it gently and spoon it on a cold and dark night?
No, but I rewatch it with great fondness, and I love the way it combines so many different elements from other genres into a really coherent and well-told story for the most part.
Yeah, that's not too bad at all, really. Just before we go any further, I want to say thank you to everybody joining us tonight and watching wherever you may be, even if it's on the re-rub. Hope you enjoy the show. Also, thank you to everybody and hello to everybody in the chat tonight. And special thanks goes to Melvin Deeply with a £2 super chat already. He says, is that Alvin Stardust on the thumbnail? No, it's Rufus Sewell. I'm going to be a bit strict tonight because I want to keep things a little bit focused. If you want to get yourself a bit of a shout out tonight, it's going to be super chats only because this is like, I want to get through this because this film means a heck of a lot for me anyway. It's one of my all-time favorites. On a scale of 1 to 10, I definitely give this a 7.5. And that's maybe in part because Jennifer Connelly is in it. Goatee, what would you give it out of 10?
Jennifer Connelly is actually my least favorite part of this movie.
Well,
this is not to say that I do not enjoy her performance. I just think everyone else is better. In general, I would give this an 8. If you catch me in a day when I'm really in like full-on horror movie mode, I would give it a 9.
What about you, Phobos? What do you think? What would you give this out of 10 before we start? Hello, computer. Hello.
I think about an 8.5, honestly. I think this movie's
as much as that.
Except for the ending. I think they should have kept it more vague. But we can address that at the time.
Well, on one theatrical release, there was a narration, if I remember right, at the beginning, and it gave too much away. So the one that everybody seems to see these days is the director's cut. So I've only ever seen the director's cut. I've never actually seen the original theatrical release. Goatee, you're going to pop in there, weren't you? Have you seen that original one with the narration?
The only one I have seen is the original one, and I hate that narration. It's the only reason this movie doesn't get a higher score. I think the narration ruins so much of the movie going forward. I do not like startup narrations in almost anything. I didn't like it in Blade Runner. I didn't like it in Carnival. I don't like it here. I get really irritated by production companies that are quite convinced that audiences are stupid, because if your audience is stupid, they're not going to watch something like Dark City anyway.
True, because it's a very cerebral film, if you think about it. It goes quite deep.
Oh, very. Um,
It's
I
one
have
of
to have
those.
I have
It's
to have
one of
words
those.
with your
If you
Mr.
get
Blackbird
it,
in the chat.
why? What's he saying this time?
He not only gave this a 1, he gave it a 1 twice.
Oh well.
Oh, that could be Jennifer Connelly, though. That's a different kind of
Yeah.
one, I think.
Gavin Blackburn
Ah.
would give anything one. He would give the Yellow Pages one if he could. Right. So let's everybody. Do you know this thing is just? I'm not getting used to it. I'm new to StreamYard. I've been with Restream for quite some time, but I've had issues, so I've moved on elsewhere. So a great opening scene, and this is Kiefer Sutherland in one of the most un-Kiefer Sutherland roles you'd ever expect to see him in. And
Yeah.
he's a psychiatrist, Dr. Daniel P. Schreiber. And he plays it, and it comes across like Peter Lorre is like he's hunching around everywhere. It's giving it like that, if you know what I mean.
He is functionally creepy.
Yeah, the
And
first time I ever saw this movie, the friend who showed it to me asked me afterwards, they were like, "What did you think?" And my first reaction was, "Huh, I didn't know Kiefer Sutherland could actually act."
Well, I suppose that's a positive, I guess.
well, he comes by it honestly. But what I mean, like some people overdo the creepiness to the point where it's not functional. Like Alien Earth is a good example. There
Oh
are
God,
just so many.
don't.
Yeah, there's so many creepy. It's just like no, that's doesn't work. But you know, he just played it underneath where you could really buy into it. And
Noah
uh,
Hawley's going to get a piece of my mind the next time I see him.
yeah, everyone in this film is fantastic. Really, I just and
They're all
William Hurt.
underrated as well.
Yeah, well, William Hurt. Still was, you know, he was the cool actor back then. Ever since The Big Chill, he really had, you know, he hadn't done some of the more, I don't know, less celebrated things. So I had actually never heard of Rufus Sewell until I saw this movie.
Yeah, he was in First Night, wasn't he, with Heath Ledger? I don't know whether it was before or after this. He didn't really seem to make a real impact in Hollywood as a leading man. He went more into supporting roles. This was like his first sort of like leading role. As for William Hurt, the one thing that kind of put me off about William Hurt was Altered States. You remember that film?
Oh yeah,
That creeped me the fuck out, to be fair.
But dude, he played it well. He really
did.
Have you read the book? He was absolutely perfect in the role.
He was. And this was a production of love and blood, sweat, and tears for Alex Proyas because this was his baby. The only reason he got this is because he did The Crow. He did, you know, he did a good job of that, and he was given a bit more latitude in Hollywood. But as opening starts go, because this film is lacking the narration now, it leaves it a bit more open-ended. You're not quite sure the motives of Dr. Schreiber. I mean, that just sounds fucking freaky in itself, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And time's very important. There's a strong correlation between time and what goes on behind the scenes in this film, because I don't know whether, without giving too much of the game away, the strangers do a thing called tuning at midnight. Now, I never could figure out, was the tuning every midnight or every now and again? Was it a bit of a shuffle when things got boring and predictable, or the strangers weren't getting the results they were searching for? We'll go into what they were searching for exactly a little bit later on, because we can't give too much away at this point.
My impression was it was every midnight is when they had the ability to do it, which is important.
It is because there is a later scene where they're discussing the plans for tonight are we're moving these streets, we're experimenting on these people, and we need these props. So they don't do the whole city every night, but they do each section of the city every night.
Yeah, that would seem more plausible, because doing with it's a bit hard at this stage for people who haven't actually seen this film. We don't want to give too much spoilerage away. You know, we can build up to what's actually happening behind the scenes, but I sort of want to keep that, you know, just a bit guarded, playing the cards a bit close.
And a quick bit of
oh, just hang on, Istophobos. You were saying, Goatee?
Oh, I was just gonna say it's really good because that whole conversation is kind of a throwaway scene.
Hmm.
It's there almost solely for the world building, and it takes about 5 seconds.
It's very
And I
efficient
just
that way. I like that.
Yeah, very much. I love how much world building they include in just tiny, tiny details.
And they're literally world building as well, which is quite kind of an irony. Um, some of these sets, though, they do look a bit iffy, but it's that sort of Art Deco noir 40s, 50s vibe to things. And I think I, I think they were going for that. What's that saying? If you haven't got much of a budget for certain things, it's low and wide. And I don't think Alex, he kind of thought, screw you, this is my film. I'll do it my way.
Well,
And
and
some of the
they
Go on.
wanted to combine a lot of decades to give it a feeling of, um,
Timelessness.
if well, not only timelessness because you definitely can't tell when this movie takes place.
Mm,
But when a little bit of psychology here, our brains tend to get grounded by certain things we expect to see. And when
mm.
you don't have those details and your brain is kind of grasping for symbols, it helps lead to an aura of like vagueness and creepiness and like
It's
you
that
you,
element of
you
the
can't.
unknown, isn't it? You know, your brain likes a certain degree of predictability to feel safe.
Hmm. Yeah, exactly that. It's the opposite of feeling grounded.
Mm. So that's why, this film gives people an unsettling vibe. There's a
I
lot
get
of dark psychology behind this. If you read further about the production of Dark City, Alex started reading a memoir of a German, what was he, a judge? But he was a Fruit Loop. He was psychotic, he was neurotic, he was schizophrenic, and he was a judge. Uh, so his memoirs are actually quite interesting reading by all accounts. But this is a great opening scene. You've got absolutely jack shit to go on here. You see a guy who's, goodness knows, this is very, the Matrix kind of borrowed from this from the get go. You've got that green vibe, that bias to this scene. And you've got this guy who's unconscious and in some kind of pink goo. Obviously, not the bioelectrical gel that are in the pods in the Matrix, but this is great. You've got
it.
absolutely nothing to go on from this scene
It
apart
is.
from looking down.
It is really similar, and that's why I like the I've seen both versions. The one without the narration best. But I will be honest. For the first 20 minutes, I kept expecting Tim Burton's Batman to jump out from around the corner.
You ding dong.
But it does. It does share those sort of green sickly elements, and it really does have an Amsterdam feel. There's an old movie from the 80s. It's a very weird noir crime thriller from Amsterdam called Element of Crime. And I
Hmm.
gotta figure he had seen that movie and took some inspiration.
It's not
Um,
a Verhoeven film, is it, by any chance?
no, it was fairly sort of, I guess, independent. It's really hard to find now too. It's called The Element of Crime, and
Oh,
I don't
interesting
want
new
to give
thing.
anything away, but it's one of the coolest mind-bendy murder mystery noir things I've ever seen. It's definitely worth checking out. Also, he wouldn't have gotten this cleared if he hadn't made The Crow, but The Crow was also the inspiration for the cityscapes and the moving buildings. The
Hmm.
production from The Crow is what gave him the idea of the tuning. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I like that. Everything about this film, like tuning, which we'll get to shortly. Everything's very fluid. There's a very high dynamic degree in this film. That's why I think it gives that cerebral edge because you have to keep a very good track of everything what's happening because certain things are so subtly moved in such fast ways. It's like you can't always keep track.
Yeah, this
Everything.
is this is
Go
not
on.
a movie you're going to watch while on on your phone.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, you're not going to be doom scrolling and all that malarkey. I've got
And
no time for brain rot, but It'd be nice if I could figure out how to move things around on here. We could move up to the top or somewhere else, which would be quite useful.
Maybe the chat has some ideas. This is definitely a movie that rewards multiple viewings as well.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. If it's always a good excuse to rewatch a great film. There we go. I think I've solved the issue now. Or no, I haven't. It's all right. I'm very new to StreamYard. I will get there. It does say thank you for doing it, but sod off. Anyway,
I gave up on StreamYard and went to EVMux. So
really. Oh well, I had a big thing on Restream. It was okay, but it started letting me down big style. And then it when we were doing Logan's Run, we were sort of like 2/3 of the way through. And we'll get into the really good bits. And then Restream went, no, I don't really like the cut of your jib there, Trev. I'll just click, brr. It's like somebody hanging up on you. It was really bizarre. And we couldn't get back on.
That was such a bummer, man. I'm still pissed about that.
And do you know what it was? You know what caused the issue?
Was it the boobies?
It was Google Chrome, actually.
Hmm.
There was an incompatibility between Restream and Google Chrome. There's a certain element that all streaming platforms use that's embedded within Google Chrome, and it gave up. So anyway, I'm yakking on about crap. Let's carry on about the film because that's what's important, the movies. So this guy wakes up. He's got absolutely no clue where he is, who he is, what he is. And I'm not going to give his name away just yet, but he wakes up and his clothes are in the corner. And there was one scene I did want to include, but I didn't have space because, yet again, StreamYard, you're limited to 50 gigs. Is it 50 megs or 50 megs, isn't it, per set of slides? But when this guy wakes up, he's got like an injection point right in the middle of his skull. And that'll become very relevant because, oh, look, I love these. These are like... how can I put them, like flying fish or goldfish syringes? And one of those is on the floor. But these will become evident as to what they are a little bit later on in the film. But yet again, this is all very matrixy. Can you remember the neural interface points, what went in the back of people's skulls in the Matrix? This has got that vibe to it because though when they were on that hovercraft, the Nebuchadnezzar, they've got like handlebar things, haven't they, on the end of the pikes? If you remember.
Yeah, it also has a little bit of sort of like the 1985 Dune feel to it, design-wise. Like the little hunter seeker, the floating needle.
Yeah.
A little bit, not really techno-organic, but it's sort of retro techno. It definitely fits in well with the rest of the movie.
Yeah,
sure.
it fits the aesthetic of the film.
So I love the little tiny touches, like the fact that they made the syringes not just look like standard syringes.
Yeah, they went the extra mile in all the art direction. Well, Alex has definitely got his own style when it comes to cinema, and I'm glad he sort of pushed that through all the way through because it's got that cyberpunk sort of feel to it.
Yeah, with some steampunk. Like, so when I was really young, I traveled around Europe. Even that key.
Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize if you ended up in England.
No, I did, but it has that old world feel from those, really old inns and hotels you find in Italy and France. Like just the engraving on the key, it all helps to set the setting and the atmosphere. And again, to not allow your mind to feel confident in its predictions of what's going to happen next, because all of the elements are sort of disjointed. They're not quite congruent with each other. It's all weird.
So this guy, when he comes to, he finds a key which fits a suitcase. And those initials will become very important a little bit later on. But everything this guy doesn't know is pretty much in his suitcase. He's a man in a suitcase. So I'm going to give the game away a little bit because I can't keep referring to him without a name. But as the story progresses, this guy discovers that his name is John Murdoch. and he might be in for a whole world of hurt. And we'll find out there's 2 reasons why he's in a heck of a lot of trouble, which he doesn't realize yet. But this is great. This is very much like The Matrix, because the phone rings. Who would know that he was there? Hello there, John Murdoch. Sorry, I've got to
It's
do
a
the Peter
rotary
Lorre.
phone.
Yeah.
Love the
Yeah,
fact that it's a rotary phone.
Yeah.
Yeah, again,
Kids
some
don't know how to use those, do they, at all now? The modern
I-
generation.
I can barely remember, but again, it's the incongruity of all of the elements that doesn't let your mind, put together a specific scene.
Mm.
You're just always unsure about what's going to happen next. It's very brilliant.
Can you remember how to speed dial on a rotary goatee?
Oh yeah.
Oh, I used to love that. One finger there, let it go. Other fingers there, ready for the rotor to go back round, and then just keep doing that. Luckily for us, in the UK, we only had shorter numbers. We only had 5-digit numbers at one time. I mean, you guys, you've got your area code, state code, and then your local identifier. Crikey.
Well, and the other thing that was great was that, when you had a really bad phone conversation with someone, you could slam the phone down.
Oh, that was always satisfying. It was there was something about it. With modern phones, you don't get that same sort of like rush at the end of a bad phone call. You're trying to press that button and, because it's an Android or an iPhone, it doesn't want to play ball and it's like, no, I'm not hanging up yet. No. And the other guy at the other end's getting a word back in.
Mind you, when I was a kid, our numbers were like Clarence 339, and you would use a word for the first 2, like CL. So our numbers used to be short because we didn't have to do the area codes if you were in the area code. So the numbers were like, 5 numbers. And as I got older, we had to dial more and more crap in order to get through.
Oh, it just sucks, isn't it? Things are getting more and more unnecessarily complicated. So Dr. Schreiber tells John he needs to get out of there, and it's for 2 reasons. Because, oh, look, that's just what you needed, a dead hooker on the floor. And dead hookers are quite important in this film because it turns out there's a serial killer, and he's killing hookers. And I think she's number 5 so far. Well, it's looking bad for John because he kind of looks like... he's the man. And I love that shot there because I don't know how I've managed to do that, but if you look at John Murdoch's head, it perfectly fits around Just Great Movies at the top of the screen. Ooh.
Now, Archer would say it's a call girl. Show some respect.
Yeah.
They're not hookers until you put them in the trunk.
And then these guys turn up. Oh dear! Have you been reading Ben Affleck's memoirs by any chance?
I didn't even know he had them.
Have you seen Jay and Silent Bob? Sir, we got a code 415. Bullshit! I wasn't with a hooker today. Oh, that Affleck. Anyway, these guys show up. These are the strangers, and these are technically walking corpses because they're reanimated dead people.
Well, see, now you're definitely getting into spoilers.
Oh shit! Yeah.
Oh yeah, they don't tell you that at this point.
Oh yeah, but I just thought I'd alleviate the suspense because people might think they're aliens. So moving swiftly on, the guy at the front there, if anybody recognizes him, that is Richard O'Brien. Now, Richard O'Brien is famous for the Rocky Horror Picture Show because he was Riff Raff, not only in the stage show, but he actually wrote the Rocky Horror Picture Show as well. Oh, Rocky, gonna make you a man. But over here in the UK, he was a popular game show host for about 7 or 8 years. We had a show called The Crystal Maze, and he hosted that, and it was just bizarre. And then he had to give it up for some reason. I can't remember why. Maybe I think he was losing his hair. Maybe it was all the stress. And he gave the role, he actually gave the game show host role to a guy called Ed Tempole Tudor, who was a new romantic in the early 80s. There was a band called Tempole Tudor, songs like Swords of a Thousand Men and all that kind of stuff. So he took over. Franco Walker says Richard is a New Zealander. I did not know that. I thought... And just one thing before I go any further. Anybody know the connection with the Matrix in this particular photo?
This particular one? I didn't.
Did it have to do with some of the sets or props being sold to the Matrix production?
No. It's to
Is it
do
the
with
hat?
it's one of the characters in that scene.
Oh, yeah. I think there was a. Oh, I guess it was backstage. We had a conversation about one of the.
Yeah.
One
The
of
tall
the,
guy at the far left of that image, Phobos, is the train driver from Matrix Reloaded and Revolutions.
What are those? I thought there was only one Matrix movie.
Technically, there is, because the others, they're kind of shit, to be fair. I don't mind the second one so much, but the third one was just a cash grab. When Gloria Foster died, that was it for me, because nobody else could play the Oracle. You know, that was her role. She was great
they
in it.
tried, but it just yeah.
And then you've got some old lady who's just smoking cigarettes, and it's like, who are you? Well, anyway, that's the tall guy who's Mr. Wall. He's Bruce Spence. He was the train driver in like I say, the Matrix films. But he's just so good. But that guy on the far right, I haven't got a fucking clue who he is. But here we go. Time is very important again, because at the stroke of midnight, it's tuning time. And that doesn't mean retuning your set to your local station of choice. This is where actual portions of this city are being physically moved by mental processes. But John doesn't notice, but that guy there on reception, he's fallen asleep. He's just completely out of it. But a little bit later on, when he comes back to, he notices that John's checked out. Did he need to pay 3 weeks or something? He'd been in that room for 3 weeks and he got to pay some money.
He had only paid for 3 weeks, and his time was up.
Right. So anyway, the guy goes to check out his room because he's a nosy bastard. But what did they say about curiosity? He opens the door, and there are the strangers there, looking for any clues of where John Murdoch is or where he's gone. And I didn't realise that Richard O'Brien must be tiny, or Bruce Spence is incredibly tall. I think it's a combination of the two there.
Or he's on an apple or something. The thing about the room running out, the opening, actually, the first act of this movie gives you no sense of permanence whatsoever. As an audience member, you're sort of sitting in the unease of constant change. You know, nobody has a home. Nobody has everything is temporary and in motion. And it's just one of those things that contributes to the feeling of unsettlement that you have when you're watching this.
Mm.
Yeah.
I think if I opened the door and I saw those guys there, I'd need some new underwear and fast. What do you think, Goatee? I can't even say it. What's your ruminations?
The thing I found interesting about this character, and again, this is kind of a throwaway thing later, but when we see this guy again, even though he is in a totally new role, he still has the same mannerisms. He still has certain speech patterns that are the same, that they make it very clear are not tied into his memories, because his memories have been changed. And, you know, a lot of the theme of this movie is, do your memories make you who you are?
Yeah, there is that about it, isn't there?
It's very Philip K. Dick. Also, I'm thinking, guys, ease up on the sunscreen. Go get a little bit of
well, there is a reason
sunshine.
There is a reason it's called Dark City. We'll get to find that out a little bit more.
Oh my God, here we go.
This is Jennifer Connelly as Emma Murdoch, John Murdoch's wife. And her role in this is rather sporadic, and that gets changed a little bit later on. Yeah, she's like you were saying, Goatee. She's like you're not quite sure if she's there or not. You know, in this film, she's very sporadic, and she's not really that broad in the sense of acting wise.
Well, yeah, all of her roles are these very flat, like kind of sad roles. And sometimes it works better than others. In this movie, it works great. But it's more like the role fits her than she fits the role.
Yeah.
they just happen to put her in something that's the way she is anyway. So I have not seen the director's version. My understanding is that she actually sings this song in the director's version, because in the non-director's version, they dub over with someone else's voice.
Really?
Yeah,
Well,
it's
So
a
you really,
pretty
I'm going to have to look it up because I want to know what she sounds like.
it's a pretty haunting melody that sticks with you. And I don't know the experience of a woman watching this, but if you're a man watching this movie, she is the only pretty thing in the entire film that you get to look at. It's very weird.
it's only forever, not long at all. Sorry, wrong film. Yeah, she's I don't know. She's kind of she feels tacked on in places. But she's given the card of Daniel P. Schreiber, MD. He's a psychiatrist, and he talks like Peter Lorre. So she goes to visit him, and some of the shots are just fantastic. And when I was doing the slides for this, obviously I was using really sort of like high quality images and making them fit to fit in with the StreamYard. The sense of scale was not lost, even though I'd like cajoled the pictures to fit. Do you know what I mean? No, obviously
Did,
not.
did you?
Well, I was thinking, because I had not thought about how big this movie does feel.
It is to say it's got overall, it's a very claustrophobic feel while you're watching this film. The shots and the sets are very wide and very open, but everything still feels claustrophobic.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
didn't.
the claustrophobia is what I tend to notice, and I tend to forget how big the scope is of many of these. It's actually kind of interesting because look at how wide those hallways are, and yet
Mm.
it manages to be claustrophobic. That's very, takes some
Yeah,
talent there.
you didn't change the aspect ratio of any of these, did you? You just cropped them to fit.
Well, it's a bit of it's a bit of a sprinkle of magic here, there, and everywhere, just to make things fit. Some of them are obviously bigger than the aspect ratio that StreamYard allows me, but I wanted to try and keep that sense of like spaciousness or claustrophobia where it suited in each particular shot where it required it. But what I was going to say, Alex Proyas's method, the way he directs, he's very good at like splitting things. He uses the rule of thirds and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? But he does it in such a way that it doesn't become boring or seem like a visual cliche.
Hmm.
It takes a fair amount of talent and vision to create a sense of claustrophobia in wide open spaces. I'll give him that, but and the production design and the style has a lot to do with that again.
Yeah,
It
I
is
mean
interesting.
Hitchcock
I
was the
didn't.
master of doing both of those things at the same time. But I think Alex Proyas has done a fantastic job on this. I mean, even this
I
scene, this is quite a wide shot. Not filmed low and wide, but still quite a wide shot. But it still seems to maintain that element of claustrophobia. I don't know whether it's because Dr. Schreber's got that experiment running. He's got the rat in the maze experiment running there.
Did you notice that he seems to change up his framing style depending on which characters are on the screen?
Yeah, it's like each character's got like a how can you put it, like a logo, but like a visual logo or a
Yeah,
visual style to accompany them.
yeah, like a visual leitmotif. It's
Mm,
I didn't notice it. It's not something I picked up on immediately, and it's just again one of those things like, wow, every
Yeah.
detail. Nothing's accidental in this movie. Every detail is planned and
yeah.
accounted for.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
like you
most
say,
of the
every character's got an established theme, and when you get more into the characters and the development starts coming out a little bit more, I think that's when you start to notice it. And then when you rewatch it or think back about it, you like go, light bulb moment, and you sort of see it. Goatee?
Oh, I was gonna say, if you get something like Star Wars, you get the Star Wars theme, but then there are slight differences depending on which character it's playing with.
Hmm.
And I think the music to this is much more straightforward, and I think they've done it with lighting and set instead.
Yeah.
Um,
Trevor
I do
Jones
want
does a
to.
great job on the music score as well. Very well paced.
I do want to say that I think that House of the Dragon could learn a lesson in how to make a scene dark and still actually be able to see things.
Yeah, I noped out of that pretty early, like Alien
Yeah.
Earth. It's just consumer, shows that need to have that cinematic feel. But you're
Um,
getting these overreaching younger directors who are trying too hard and trying to make a cinematic format work on TV. And they do it in such a way where, the shots and styles and the lighting, it's all tired. It's all boring. These guys aren't prepared to try anything a bit more fresher. It's disappointing.
yeah, and I have to say, going to digital instead of film has a lot to do with that. The inability to create a dark scene where it's just not all muddy and flat and hard to watch. So I
I
think
mean,
that's one of the things where film really excels.
lighting balance and sound mixing just seem to have gone in the toilet these days.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely
that's
sound.
Granted, my hearing is terrible these days, but I can
Eh?
watch old movies
what?
and hear
What?
everything.
Eh? If you
Uh,
want the worst thing to ever hit cinema, and I don't blame Hans Zimmer for this one bit, but Christopher Nolan deserves a solid kick in the bollocks for what he did to Interstellar, because that could have been such a great film. But he must have been like ultimately riding the faders when they were doing the mix down. And he's like, no, leave it like that. No, there's a reason for it. And there'll be some kind of deep down cerebral thing that you have to work out why the mix of the dialogue and music is so shit.
yeah, part of it is that they don't have to learn. When you were dealing with film and tape, you had to get it right the first time, and the people
Oh,
really knew
yeah.
what they were doing, and they apprenticed and they learned the craft of lighting and color and dynamics and color grading and timing. They don't have to do that anymore. They can just shoot it 100 times digitally, fix it in post, pick the best one. So
Yeah, it
I
doesn't
think
work in post though. They
no,
always
no,
say they can fix it in post, but it doesn't always translate that well. You can run you can have $1,000 plugins that magically do all these fixes, and they'll never do it as well as what it would have been done on analog tape, because analog tape had that headroom and the tape had saturation. And if you overdriven a piece of dialogue, the tape would like tame it down and give it a bit of character where it would stand out. Now, because everything's digital now, everything's dead thin on the ground. It's
yeah, they never fix it in post. They
no, they
say
don't.
they'll fix it.
Oh, it's
Just look
bollocks.
at Lawrence of Arabia or The Wizard of Oz or The Sound of Music. Look at those landscapes. You haven't seen anything like that in decades.
No. Everything's, you've got these directors with these grandiose storyboards, and then the suits come in and go, you're on drugs, you're dreaming, you've got no chance. There's reality and expectation. Directors have got too much expectation, but not enough reality. Sorry, Goatee. Well, the boys are talking over you. Would you like
That's
to get?
right.
Would you like to get your 2 cents in?
I haven't really had a whole lot of 2 senses. Maybe a 1 cent here and there, but nothing that was worth interrupting about. I think you guys were doing.
Sorry.
No,
When me and
it's good.
Phobos is a bastard for it. He does it to me every time. He railroads me. You're such a bully, Phobos.
I am.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You'll be getting me at break. So anyway, this is William Hurt and his character. Really, really good. This is Inspector Frank Bumstead. I'm not so keen on the name, to be truthful, because he sounds a bit of an ass, but he's really an okay guy.
I mean, this is an entire species of people that name themselves after nouns, so yeah, they were probably doing the best they could.
And to get an actor as big as William Hurt on a project this small, that is good going. There's an interesting little anecdote about Kiefer Sutherland when he received the script for this. And his first thing he said when he read it, he says, "Why the fuck has somebody sent me this?" He thought that it was for his dad. They'd sent it to him instead of his dad. He
I think
didn't get
I'd
it.
heard that, yeah.
He just didn't get the role. Well, he did get the role actually, but he didn't get why he was being in the frame for this role. But anyway, this cop here, Frank, he wants to get his man. And he wants to figure out who's doing all these hooker murders. In fact, in a way, it's kind of parodying the Ripper, the Jack the Ripper, isn't it? Really, because he's going out and he's murdering hookers. Ben Affleck was not involved, or that Affleck. But he's not much of a murderer, is he? And he signed his name, J. Murdoch. And his home address as well,
J. Murder. It's just like
red rum.
I bet the name Bombstead, I bet it has some meaning that we haven't figured out yet, because nothing in this movie seems to be accidental.
Yet again, you've got this level of cerebralness. Not quite on Christopher Nolan's level, but it is there. But I think this film's like a lasagna, really, if I can use that as a metaphor. There's many layers, but when you start revealing those layers, there's another one and another one,
We don't get that anymore. We have so few movies that make you think like that. It's kind of sad.
Yeah. What do you think, Goatee?
I think I never noticed before that the same person has written all of the names on this, which in and of themselves should say that something weird is going on.
Yeah, it's weird because it's like you're never getting the same person twice. If you know what I mean. If you know, you know.
Well, you're not, but the fact that the same person has filled in both J. Murdoch and the name above him, because the handwriting's the same, which means that one person wrote this entire ledger out instead of people actually signing in when they checked in.
It quite possibly the same person tried to fill them all in and make them look different. But no, there are quite a few differences.
All right,
the O's and the H's are totally different. The R's kind of on point, though.
Except they're not. That is what an H looks like at the end of the term with somebody that gives it a little flick, because you can see under Tim Faithful, there's the start of the little flick.
Yeah.
I interpreted this differently. I thought it was just him under different personas every time checking in.
I don't know. Maybe that's another layer of the lasagna that's there to be discovered.
Now I'm hungry and I want lasagna.
Oh, you're not Garfield and it's not Monday, so jog on.
Does the skeleton look of this, is that on purpose?
I think so.
Bet it is, yeah.
Because it's very skull-like, isn't it?
It is. I've said that to countless people over the years, and people are like, what the hell are you on about, Trev?
Yeah, and the stairs even make the teeth.
Yeah. Like, it's almost like, Halloween, there's your pumpkin, your jack-o'-lantern. But he's got to go to the automat because he left his wallet there. And yet again, I think that's another subtle hint or a clue. But it's John Murdoch's day because he's outside the laundromat and he gets propositioned by a hooker.
Have you ever eaten at an automat, either of you, or a chat?
They've never been a thing over here, thank God.
It's the most depressing thing. Like, literally, I'd rather sort of eat on the side of the street. Somebody pulling stuff out of a cardboard. They're just really depressing.
It seems like a glorified vending machine.
It pretty much is, yeah.
Yeah,
it's a Japanese style of food, isn't it?
Oh, I'm not counting the Japanese automats, though. That's like a carnival and a fair rolled into one. I'm talking about like the Amsterdam ones and the.
You talk a lot about Amsterdam. I'm quite worried.
Well,
did you have a crepe and a pancake, a blitz and a blonde? Isn't that crazy? Did anybody say to you, "Hey, it's the Phobos. I'm from Holland. Isn't that weird?"
That was 50 years ago, but I still remember how depressing they are. You don't have any money. You're trying to gather enough coins to grab something to eat. It's very depressing.
Well, that's why you get the bikes out of the canal and then sell them back to somebody. That's how you make your money in Amsterdam when you're doing the whole, what is it? The hostel thing. You weren't doing hostels, were you?
Yeah, occasionally, but generally, no. I was.
Well, you know where the hostels are, don't you? The top side of the red light district. I'm sure it took you when you walked into town. It took you about 30 minutes. Walking back, it took you an hour and a half.
Well, this was the late
Fucking
70s,
pervert.
so it was a little bit different back then. But I usually met people and hung out and stayed
That's
with
how it.
them.
That's how it used to be, and that's how it should be. Fun times back in the day.
Yeah, I've stayed in some rough youth hostels in England too, especially up in the north.
Oh, whereabouts in the north? My neck of the woods, or a little bit further up?
Like near Keswick, the Lake District.
Oh, that's up and to the left of where I am.
And
Yeah,
going up towards
Cumbria.
Blackpool and
Oh God, I am sorry. Oh, Blackpool. It is one of the most unfortunate shitholes in England. The only place where you can still get a £1 burger, but you will use about £4 worth of toilet paper after. So anyway,
So like every McDonald's here is what you're saying.
I don't know. I don't know.
My goal was to see as much of the UK coast as I possibly could. And
oh God, you didn't go to Skegness, did you? Please tell me you didn't go to Skegness.
Honestly, it's been a while, but I think I did. Like I went
poor
all the way up
bastard.
on that side and came all the way down on the other.
We haven't exposed our other children to that neck of the woods, but I'm sure Destron will remember the time we unfortunately went to Skegness and Inglemells just to have a look, see if it was still bad. And it was all people in mobility scooters smoking weed and wearing Burberry and chavvy type. Like, how can I put it? A chav is like a sophisticated redneck, or they think they're sophisticated. Look at what a chav is. Actually, it means council housed and violent.
Okay, we have something similar here. I'm not going to say it because I don't want to get canceled.
Okie dokie. So, do you want to expand on this scene at all, Goatee? Because
I just want to know where his sense of adventure is that he doesn't want to risk getting
who's
canceled.
Oh, you mean Phobos?
Yeah.
Well, it is my channel. And I'm already in hot water in several locations all at the same time.
Oh, well, that's a different thing. He said he didn't say he cared about your channel. He said he cared about getting canceled.
Yeah, fuck your channel, Trev.
It was implied that I was protecting his monetization. Okay,
I'm thinking long term.
This is another one where I really like the lighting. The fact that she is so shaded in the dark.
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? She's in the dark.
And the light is so directly on him. She's finding out unpleasant truths and things she didn't know, and he is the light that is the revealer of truth.
Yeah. Everything all right in the marriage, darling? Yeah. Oh, by the way, your husband kills hookers.
Yeah, except it's not really truth, is it? That's the rub.
The thing is, though, I know I don't want to give too much away, but there isn't really a reveal as to who's actually killing the hookers. If you think about it, that is left very open-ended because I can't see. This is frustrating. I can't give too much away just yet without giving it away. So this is bizarre. This always makes me laugh. This scene. Do you recognise any of these names? Yeah, I hang around with hookers every day, mate. Of course.
Well, I mean, she doesn't know they're hookers.
Yeah, I mean, Samantha, for a start, I mean, we call her Chlamydia because she's just scratching down there all the time. Alison, Fish Stink, that's her nickname. Kathleen, you don't want to go there. And Simone, avoid her at all costs, if you know what I mean.
An awful lot of Irish hookers going around getting killed with a few.
Well, Davies is a Welsh name. Montgomery's Scottish. Richards, that's kind of, I mean, O'Shea and Shaughnessy, definitely, yeah. But anyway, might be an O'Brien thing. But lo and behold, get this nice Art Deco radio being tuned in. I miss radios like that. I've got a thing for radios. And could this be John looking at a picture of his wife? And he's with a hooker. Oh my God, it's Ben Affleck. Oh, that Affleck. Sorry, that's never going to get boring for me tonight. I do apologize.
So one of the things that's interesting about this is that even though they were trying to go with different decades, they wanted everything to still have an old-ish feel.
Mm.
And so they made certain that there were no swear words at all in the movie.
Yeah, I can't actually
And
remember hearing any.
the closest you get is when she says, "Oh shoot."
Yeah, I like that. That is very 50s Americana, isn't it?
And the idea was supposed to be that basically was a sign of her, lower status, was even that she said the word shoot.
Yes. But I'm going to have to lower the tone now for the sake of Gavin Blackburn. She's quite an attractive young filly, she is, even though she's a hooker.
I haven't seen a beaded curtain like that, I think, since 1978.
This is something you'd see in a boudoir. There we go. That's a $5 word right there. Boudoir. Enter my boudoir, sir. But yeah, it doesn't actually do anything. That's the weird thing.
Okay, two pretty things in the movie. I forgot about her.
Yes, well, I'll let you bring that up. I've seen what you're looking at there. Well spied, sir. But we come back to this. This is like an anchor point or a focal point for this film. Everybody knows Shell Beach, but nobody knows how to get there or can remember how to get there. That is like a callback to there's something a bit deeper and something a bit sinister going off.
And even the first time it comes up, somehow the viewer is able to recognize the significance and creepiness of it. You're right. It is a nexus of the film, obviously, but it felt wrong even the first time it came up. And then, of course, they keep bringing it back up, and something's going on.
Yeah. Sorry, Paul. We changed the slide a bit too quick for Paul there. Let me just go back. Did you miss that? Had you not finished? Tell you what. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. There you go. So anyway,
I mean,
John. Sorry,
there were much better shots he could have given you that would have gotten you there quicker, but he's not allowed to have those on YouTube.
This is a tasteful show, or at least I like to think it's a tasteful show.
I'm sorry, how many times have you made jokes about hookers in the trunk of a car?
That was me. That was me.
I just do the Ben Affleck shtick.
I was going to say, but he has done the Ben Affleck recall like 4 times since.
It's all right. It's a thing.
Was Affleck was Affleck using the trunk?
I don't know. Was that a 406 or was that a 207? I don't know. The security guard codes kept changing quite a bit. So John is drawn to Shell Beach for some reason. And while he's there, he just happens to have a bunch of things out of his suitcase, about this possible person from Boston who keeps killing random ladies of the night. Ooh, that Affleck. And then this guy turns up. It's Richard O'Brien, well known for playing the host of the Rocky Horror Picture Show and Riff Raff from Rocky. Oh, Rocky, gonna make you a man.
Riff Raff is the best.
Pardon?
Riff Raff is the best.
Really? I don't know. I'm a bit of a. I like Tim Curry in that, to be fair. But then again,
no. I mean, as far as like the roles he's known for.
Oh right, yeah. But like I say, Crystal Maze was a big thing growing up for me. It was staple viewing. When I was studying for exams, was I studying? Was I heck? I was watching Crystal Maze. I actually know somebody who went on the Crystal Maze, and for participating, you got like a little. It was only a glass cheap thing made to look like a crystal maze. So you got one for participating, and I said to my friend, I said, "What did you do with that?" And he says, I got fucked off one night and threw it at the wall." And that was the end of his Crystal Maze, bless him. But Richard O'Brien is so good in this role. I don't know. There's certain things he tackles. And he's got that sort of air of weirdness about him. But it's like a palpable weirdness, and it suits the role. And this character's called Mr. Hand. All these characters, a bit like the ones from Buckaroo Banzai, like John Bidboutte and, all the other Johns. These guys have just got Mr. and whatever. But I did a double take because I thought at first he said his name was Mr. Hands. As in the internet myth of Mr. Hands. I'm not going any further with that. Might have got myself in a corner. It's one of those, if you know, you know. He was an aerospace engineer from Washington, and he did something silly with a horse, and it didn't end well. And there's even a little one of these strangers. This little bastard. He sinks his teeth into somebody a little bit later on, but I'm not revealing anything just yet.
He is by
but-
far the creepiest just because he's a kid.
Yeah. I mean, he doesn't make a single utterance, that little guy, the kid.
Yeah, he
but-
whispers in someone's ear once. That's as close as he
Yeah.
gets.
I wonder if he's like got a really, hey, if you look at me like that again, man, I'll cut your throat. He's got one of those voices. One of the voice that you would never expect in a million years.
You know, I always imagine, considering that, since you've already given away, since they are housed in the corpses of the dead, I always imagine that kid was like strangled to death or something, and that's why he never talks.
Yeah, probably because he was a little bastard when he was alive. It's all right. It's just the way my mind works. Don't mind me at all. But it's a bit of an unexpected fight scene because when Mr. Hand does that, he says sleep, but he doesn't. Murdoch's kind of immune to these guys. They've all got like a special ability, but we'll come to learn about that a little bit later on and why they've got this special ability. Might be because of this, because one of the guys gets killed. Gets slightly knocked on the head by the hand from the Shell Beach lady, and his skull's cracked open, and this life form comes out, and they're kind of reminiscent of the Goa'uld from Stargate. It's always a parasite in the brain, isn't it, when you get taken over by an alien? Mind that gap, everybody.
Yeah, I do have to say this. I do have to say this is probably one of the less good CGI bits in this.
For 1998, though, it suits
True.
its purpose fine.
It does.
What I found more creepy was the look of just sheer terror on that guy's face, the actor there. His face contorted in such a way it left lasting scars on my psyche. I'm not quite sure whether they're a space spider octopus or a combo or just a gelatinous little thing that makes connections to your nerves. There's not much elaboration, is there, on what these creatures actually are, and I like that because it kind of leaves it open-ended. You make an interpretation of yourself, and I think, like you were saying before, Goatee, there's certain elements of uncertainty, and they're there for a reason to sort of add that like extra layer of, because
Yeah,
you've got no frame of reference. You don't know what's happening. It's just pure unknown.
And
I'm curious. It does make me curious about whether or not, like, is there something about our atmosphere that they can't tolerate? Because when it comes out, it dies. Like, is it using corpses because it somehow filters our atmosphere in a way it can tolerate? Is our gravity like too heavy normally? Like, you just look at it and you go, so wait a minute, did they have hosts on their planet?
Yeah.
What is it that
Maybe when
How
it's
do-
out of its surroundings, it has to rely on a symbiote to do its bidding because it can't function. Maybe it's a creature from another reality or another dimension, and it can't, articulate itself in our reality.
it seems like it would either need some type of host or its original planet was either very light gravity or water.
Yeah.
Because I mean,
yeah.
it sort of collapses when it comes out, like it's being either crushed or.
And I've just thought of another film what kind of borrows from this a little tiny bit. You remember The Faculty?
oh yeah, that's a great film.
Yeah, we'll have to do that one time.
I never assumed this creature was the end of the. It could have just been a conduit to someone else. It could have been a means of control, a tool, a biomechanical. Like I never assumed that this was the end of it. That this was the thing. This just could have been part of the chain that led to the thing.
That reminds me of an advert. Oh, God, what was it? The Toshiba one. She's the girl that makes the thing, that holds the ring, that holds the spring. Do you remember that TV advert?
I think that I don't think we got that one here.
Oh,
but
Toshiba TVs back in the day. Hello,
remember
Tosh.
that
Toshiba.
this came out at a time we did have we had the Puppet Masters, we had the Goa'uld, we had all kind of in science fiction, all kind of body snatcher type creatures.
Yeah,
So,
in fact, Stargate was 94.
Yeah.
So that's dates this by 4 years.
Yeah, so like in Stargate's case, that really is the Goa'uld, but this just could have been a bioorganic transmitter that the bad guys behind the curtain are using to control the bodies. So I never assume or try. This movie makes it easy not to sort of rest on your assumptions.
Yeah, I think the best thing is not to think too hard to explain things and give it a bit of meaning, because like Goaty says, you need that certain element of uncertainty to make this film all the more plausible. So news gets back that one of the strangers has died by the hand of a human, no less, and this is the tuning chamber. We'll learn more about that a little bit later on, and we get to see their big bad boss too.
The
Go on.
thing that's interesting about that is that all of the ones we see regularly talk pretty normal. But when they find out, one of them says, "No more Mr. Quick. Poor, poor Mr. Quick."
That was it,
It's
Mr.
like
Quick. I remember now.
the ones that do not, have a whole lot of contact with people seem to have a much more stilted speaking pattern. And I just found that difference kind of interesting.
I think they might not have as much experience because Mr. Hand and his posse seem to be the ones that go out there and solve problems when they do arise. They're like a fix-it squad for the rest of the entities. So anyway, Murdoch manages to make his way back to Emma. And this is a great scene in itself, because if you look, the way it's framed up is behind bars already. Did anybody else pick up on that?
I'm not sure I did in this particular scene. I think there's another scene that's very similar that I had that reaction to.
Yeah, there's subtle elements hidden there within the shot. It's like if you pick up on it, yeah, that's great. But if you don't, anyway, William Hurt, he's underutilized. He's great in this, but he's very underutilized as Inspector Frank Bumstead. And with a name like that, it should be bums out all the way.
If you'll notice, all the scenery, the wall, the streets, it all looks sickly and unsafe. Like there's no place that you can see in the area that you feel like you could take a breath and rest and relax. Everything is creepy.
Except the spa.
Yeah, true. I mean, that is kind of used as a because Dr. Schreiber, he's very sickly and unhealthy with his Peter Lorre voice. He goes to the spa quite regularly to try and recuperate a little bit. Almost like he needs a bit of exercise. If you know, you know. But Frank tries to get to John, but he kind of gives him the slip again. And yeah, again, these establishing shots here. I mean, he's gone for the low and wide here. And he usually say, when you haven't got much to fill a scene, you go low and wide and hope for the best. But I think this scene's fantastic. It is just, it's full. It is a full scene. There's something there at every level to, to grab your attention and give you a frame of reference to our world. You've even got a guy there walking away, and he's like got a violin case, like an old mobster. You've got some guy there, he's just stood there having a cigarette. It's hard to say cigarette. Obviously, you guys know what we call cigarettes, and we can't say that word on YouTube anymore.
Siggy?
Bastards. Well, Siggy, yeah, that'll have to do.
They do an excellent job with the light fall off. The production team on Tron used to have a saying, when in doubt, black it out, which is how they stretch their budget. They do a very good job of a similar way. It's one of the ways that they are able to make a large space still seem stilted and enclosing by using the
Yeah,
power of shadows.
he would have had to use a long focal length there to get that shot like that. But he does it in such a way where even the background has still enough depth to make it, it is, for want of a better word, I find Alex Proyas's style to be luxuriant, and not many people pick up on that. There's a lot of subtlety. There's a lot of definition. There's a lot of fine art. There's like it's somebody who appreciates cinema done in the right way or to the best of his ability, and it shines through every shot he takes. His direction's great.
Yeah, this looks like a 70mm lens around that. It looks fairly natural. I don't think they went too long on this, so the scene doesn't flatten out too much. I mean, it depends. Like, I don't know how much you cropped the still, so I'm trying to think back to what it looked like. But
this isn't far off the mark, to be fair. But there was still a lot more. There was a lot more to the left. So really, I've taken just a bit of a sliver out of the first sort of third, if you know what I mean. Not the lower, but the left hand side.
Yeah, with 35mm film, 40mm to 70 sort of emulates the normal human field of vision.
Yeah.
And when you do too much beyond that, it can be tiresome to watch too much.
Well, too much of a good thing and all that. Goatee, you were saying about the spa scene. Do you want to tell everybody a little bit more about what's going off here?
So apparently the strangers do not like water. And so this is the one space where the good doctor can kind of get away from them. I think the fact that it is much more well lit, it's interesting because those almost look like windows. It almost looks like daylight. It's the one space where you get stuff that looks like daylight. And yes, there's a lot of blues and greens in this movie, but this is the first one that looks pretty instead of like vomit.
There's another little tidbit which Alex Proyas likes to drop into important scenes. Has anybody else picked up on why this scene might be important?
There's a sun on the roof too. I don't know if that's...
Whenever there's a strong point of reference where you should be paying attention, there's always a clock in the shot.
Oh, the only time I've ever noticed that there was always a clock, so I just assumed they were in every scene.
Only in important ones, because you know how you were saying, somebody, I can't remember, it was you or Phobos was saying, perhaps these creatures came from a water world. I don't think that rings true because, like,
liquid.
Maybe from a gaseous planet.
Yeah, just something. They don't look like they do well walking around in any place that's got gravity. That was kind of what I was trying to get at.
For everybody watching at home, if you look just at the far right of Phobos's avatar, there's a little point sticking up. That's Kiefer Sutherland's head. But I haven't got this quite tuned. I need to do a bit of tuning myself. I haven't quite got StreamYard tuned in 100% yet. I'll get there, don't worry.
Can you move me out of the way or hide me or?
Let's see.
I think there's a way to put all of them so they're on the side instead of at the bottom.
Yeah. Right. Can you still talk, Phobos?
I don't think he can if you remove him from the scene because he said earlier we couldn't hear him.
Right. I'm going to have to put him back. Oh, my goodness. Well, that didn't work out.
No, that didn't work. Just a little funny note here is that we're in a scene where there's a giant pool of water, and it's the only place where the walls look dry and the ceiling looks dry.
Yeah.
Is when we have an actual pool. So, I mean, I wouldn't say it looks like super safe, but it does seem like a more comfortable environment than everything we've seen so far.
Yeah, but like Goatee says, if these creatures fear water, this is the only place Dr. Schreiber's going to feel any kind of safety, you know? He's not doing his hunched up Peter Lorre little creep walk. Oh, you can't get me in here. You can't swim. Oh.
Now, I can't remember. Are we thinking aliens and other planets at this point in the movie yet? Or are we thinking more monster weird?
I'm not thinking anything. You've made a wild accusation there, Phobos. So here's another important scene, and lo and behold, there's a clock on the wall. Frank goes to visit his old partner, and he's kind of lost it. And he's like a prototype John Murdoch, because the tuning events don't work on him, and he's seeing everything what's happening. He's documenting it all on the wall, and it's almost like, that sometimes you have to have a crazy person that knows the truth, that's telling the truth, so he can disprove it for everybody else. That what did he call it? Something deniability. I can't get the word out.
Plausible
deniability.
Yeah, it's like he's there and he's been left in that state to generate that plausible deniability for the strangers.
Oh my God! Look at everything on the wall, man. He's definitely got a couple of screws loose. Or
yeah, but if you've been through the tuning and come out the other end so many times, and you've seen so many changes, he even says to Frank, "No, that's not my wife. I don't even know her." And it's true, because, everything's getting reformatted around him all the time. He has got no fixed point. His reality is that fractured because of the tuning events.
What's interesting is the fact that he still accepts Frank's existence.
Oh, yeah, that's weird, isn't it?
Well, that's the beauty of it. You have to figure that humans are on a bell curve, and they're going to be at the very far end of that curve. There are going to be people that are extra sensitive to what's going on, maybe even some people that carry memories through a tuning. Most of the people just sort of accept it as reality, but he can be one of those extra sensitive people that every midnight he cracks a little bit. Different kind of snow, but yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'm going to say, if it's a snowflake. Do you want to know a bit of an irony here? Did you see the poll that I put up on X? Which film should we do this week? And I gave a choice, Darkman or Dark City. Darkman won, but we were doing Dark City anyway. I was doing that for our other guest who couldn't make it at short notice, because Tomby said he liked this film, so I kind of went with that for Tomby. But he obviously couldn't make it. But anyway,
Tomby's the one missing.
He's double booked. He didn't realise. So I said, in all fairness, you've got something else more important to do. There's always next time. Don't worry about it, because I'm chill like that. So anyway, this is actor Colin Friels, and a few years before this, he was the bad guy in Darkman, and he turns up in this. Who works for Durant? Is this guy is Durant's boss, if you remember.
I haven't seen that movie in so long, but now that you mention it, it's funny, when the movie came out, when Darkman came out, I thought it was okay, but I've never met so many people that universally hated a movie.
What? Darkman's a classic.
I know, but at the time when it came out, I don't think I met a single woman who liked that movie. They hated it, like passionately so.
Women tend not to like Sam Raimi films, even the Spider-Man movies.
What?
Yeah, but
apparently so.
I just remember this movie being super polarizing, like way beyond everything else that was coming out at the time. And I couldn't really figure out why, because I'm like, yeah, it was okay. It definitely grew on me later on.
Yeah, Darkman's great. We're taking a break next week because I've been informed that we're going on a bit of a surprise vacation for the kids. It's nothing extravagant. It's only out in our touring caravan, so that's thrilling. But I'm not passing up on a holiday because I haven't had a holiday so far this year. I've only had 3 ill days off all year, and that was reluctant. I was forced to have 3 days off. But it was a Thursday and a Friday and a Monday, so I got 5 days, you know what I mean? So I think my boss just wanted me out of the way, to be fair. But moving on to this scene, Murdoch follows Schreiber because Schreiber kind of gave him the nod, didn't he? Like, just hang back and just observe things a little bit more. And you'll see there's another layer. And this is a great scene because this becomes very Matrix. Like the back doors in Matrix Reloaded. This is very much like that. And yet again, look at the bias. You've got like a soft green bias. Well, more of a yellow, but the Matrix had that green bias. This film, also has a bias, which is like a soft yellow, like a very light amber, if you know what I mean.
You mentioned something about the rule of thirds, and again, it may have something to do with how you cropped it. But I noticed we're looking a lot of sort of deviation from that. He's almost splitting everything in half, horizontally and vertically.
That's me. That's me. What's done that on purpose?
Oh, okay. As
because
I said,
I kind of wanted to reframe things a little, because again, Alex did do the thirds. He stuck to that rule. It was almost like he was limited by the cameraman or the director of photography. You know, I think Alex might have said, "Well, look at this shot, and this is how I want it." And I can't remember the director of photography's name. But I think he kind of like thought, yeah, whatever, we'll do it this way. It'll be all right. Don't worry. We can fix it in post.
doesn't he have to do what the director says? Like,
Yeah. How many stories have we read, like Ridley Scott on Blade Runner or James Cameron on Aliens? All right, Governor, cup of tea, mate. There's always been some kind of passive aggressiveness at some level on a production somewhere.
I think it was a guy named Wolski. He had a like Darius Wolski, but he spells it weird.
Yeah.
The cinematographer for this.
Right, I'll try to find it. I can't quite get that information at the moment. Sorry, I'm trying. Right, producer, composer, cinematographer, Darius Wolski. I probably murdered that name because it sounds very Polish.
He did The Martian.
Did he?
And Crimson Tide, yeah.
Really? He did good work. I'll tell you something, he did bloody well good on Martian.
Yeah.
You know, I don't normally like Matt Damon movies all that much, but that one was great. Just going back on, we'll get back on track, because you're a sod for that, Phobos. Do you know? You can make me go off track and talk shit about movies. That's so cool. And we go kind of deep, and I really do appreciate it. But it's not very kind to our other guest as well,
all right,
Goatee, because you're not getting a word in. And
I am so used to streams that do this.
Well, I'm sorry, but she will get pissed off eventually, and she will butt you in the arse. Not in a good way either. Goatee, do you want to have a bit of a catch up? Because Phobos, I'd like to say, he's like a fucking steamroller.
Is this the scene where he drops the business card?
Well,
I'm trying to remember.
No, because he kind of said to John, just, if you observe a little bit and follow me, you might discover something which may be of use to you later.
Mm-hmm.
And then he sees Schreiber go through that wall, that hidden back door. So now he's seen a way in. But because he can tune, because Murdoch can tune a little bit at this point, not 100%, but he can do it in self-defense. And when he does it naturally, he can do it,
Basically when he's panicky.
Yeah, when it becomes a self-defense mechanism, he can turn it on. But yeah, he's kind of been given the keys to the car, hasn't he now? Schreiber's given him that bit of access. But Schreiber's got a job to do. He's got to create all the new memories for the next tuning. And this bit's good. He's going, a dash of troubled childhood, just a hint of the priest touched my ass cheek on a Wednesday. All them kind of really obscure references. But he's creating backstories and memories for a whole part of this city. And he's doing it on such a mass scale.
What's interesting about that is that he obviously hates the strangers. He obviously wants them gone. I mean, he plots against them. And yet at the same time, he takes so much glee in his talents being put to work.
Yeah, he's almost like an artist.
He still loves this job, even though he hates being done with the job.
I think the strangers are a means to an end for his creativity. They're the outlet that lets him have that freedom of creativity in a world that doesn't have any, essentially.
I mean, if you assume that, well, I don't know. There was once upon a time, ethics weren't really a whole big concern in psychology, but nowadays he'd never get away with hey, I'm going to mix a bunch of brain chemicals together and inject them into people.
You get people with tinfoil hats and MK Ultra and Charlie Manson. There you go.
He reminds me of the scientists who work for a certain mustachioed German fellow.
We
around
won't go there.
Yeah.
You
But
know,
that's the feeling. People that just wanted to do their work, they didn't necessarily agree
Yeah.
with the management.
And for those of you wondering who he's on about Dave Schnitzel from Dusseldorf, who's a nice guy. Honestly, he looks a bit like Higgins from Magnum. We'll leave it there. John Hillerman would have made a great one of him in a Mel Brooks spoof. Moving on.
When they made Higgins into a woman, I was out. Like, nope, you lost me.
No. There's certain lines you don't cross. And they crossed the line with that. Why reboot something what's already been done? That just shows you the lack of talent and creativity in Hollywood. And it's just a waste of material for everybody concerned. Because all you do, you alienate and anger your audience who are expecting something a bit more with depth. But it's like you're getting a dollar store version of the shows you grew up with, and that's a bit shit. Anyway, the
mistake they're making is not remaking the movies that were terrible. They still get the name recognition, but they don't risk pissing people off.
Yeah, and they don't take risks. Everything has to be a safe bet at the box office just to try and make as much money back. This is Mr. Book, played by Ian Richardson, and he's the top man. In fact, he's a different kind of
rightfully
beast.
so. He is Mr. Book.
He is indeed. And he's got that, whether it's the lighting or the makeup or the fact that he's got eyebrows like Jenna Ortega, he looks one scary mother. He just looks imposing and fearful, doesn't he? He's got that menace, that air of danger about him, like an intelligence of uncertainty.
There's a saying about, how does it go?
You don't fuck with Mr. Book?
Experience and treachery will overcome youth and enthusiasm.
Oh, yes.
When I think of that, like, his face just looks like, experience and treachery.
And to put it another way, if you didn't get that, I will use a Disney reference for everybody else out there. There are old pilots and bold pilots, but there are very few old bold pilots. There you go. She's tuned into Vincent, that's for sure. They're on about rebooting that again, aren't they? I hope they don't. Oh, dear. That is Disney's worst best film, and I love it. And we'll talk about the black hole another time.
Yeah,
so,
the saying is age and treachery will overcome youth and skill.
Yeah. There's just before I go any further, there is one famous quote by an English chap called Douglas Bader, a guy who lost his legs in World War II, but he became one of the best fighter pilots ever. He carried on with his fake legs. And he came out with a great line that said, "Rules are there for the governance of wise men and the obedience of fools." Now, every time I get pulled up by the cops, I usually come out with that line at them. And if I know they're going to be no fun at all, I'll go, "These aren't the droids you're looking for. You can go about your business. Move along." And the amount of times I've still got a ticket from doing that. Destron Soul has seen me do that, haven't you, son? Oh, dear. Anyway, this is the tuning chamber, and they wait for midnight. So they're getting ready for something big. But we'll find out a little bit more about that. Goatee, you're being underplayed. I have brought you out as a star player tonight, and Phobos is kind of like the Kenny Powers of the show tonight.
Are you implying I need to talk more?
Because I'm finding
usually it's the other way around.
No, I'm finding that Phobos, because he's a bully, and he talks over me and he railroads the show constantly. But I've got to have him on because he knows his shit and he's good. But I want you to flourish just a little bit more, because we will run out of slides. Then you're screwed.
I will do my best.
Would you like to add anything to this before I go on to the next scene?
I generally assume when it's my first time on a show, I'm better off, figuring out what the vibe of the show is and only talking when I have something, really good to say.
All right, I'm good with that.
I do love, I know we've talked a lot about the green in the scene, and I love the glowing green clock It's almost like the clock is what's casting this, sickly pall over the whole city.
Sorry, I'd accidentally muted my mic there. Yes, I was agreeing with you on that. There is that element to it, and it's like ethereal. I can never say ethereal.
Ethereal?
There we go.
Ethereal?
That's the word. Yes. Yeah. There's I unfortunately had a stroke in 2018, and since then there are certain words I just can't say. But at least I'm grateful I don't sound like Porky Pig anymore, because I had 18 months of going ba-da, 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 ba-da. And people just say, that's easy for you to say, Trev, which I really appreciated.
According to your wife, I'm sorry is one of those words, and she says it has nothing to do with the stroke.
That word does not work on that Jedi. No Jedi mind trick works on her.
But the only light source in the city seems to come from that clock.
Yeah, because the reason it's called Dark City, and I wonder if anybody else in the chat has picked up on this at the moment, but there's been no sunlight at all. And the only sort of near semblance of sunlight was in the spa scene, but that was artificial light. As of yet, nobody has seen any actual daylight. So, yeah, maybe that's why everything's got like a sickly vibe to it, because there's no natural light. All these people must be lacking so much vitamin D. The bones must be for shit. But this is quite an important scene. It's very nearly midnight, and I don't understand why this couple are having supper so late, because they won't sleep. But it's nice to see they've got a traditional bread basket on the table.
I went to grad school in Boston, and people there would have supper easily at 10 o'clock. I was working the night shift, and I would be like walking to the bus for work for 11 o'clock, and people would just be having supper. I always thought it was insane.
Did you pick up any of the Irish drawl while you were up there?
I don't think so.
Oh.
I mean, I'm told I don't have enough down Easter in my voice as it is.
Oh. No.
Yeah.
So did you come away being a Sox fan at all?
So the Sox are a somewhat touchy subject in my family. My grandmother was avid. My mother is avid. When I was a kid, you waited until the Sox were on a winning streak if you wanted to ask my mother for anything.
Mm.
And if they were on a losing streak, don't even bother asking.
Yeah, I'm still pissed at the Astros for last season.
I gave up on the Sox the time they were ahead 9-0 and lost in the 10th inning 10-9.
Yeah, it's weird how shit like that can happen.
I was like, I'm done. I'm done.
Oh dear. Oh well, it must have skipped a generation. Well, it happens. I mean, I'm a Giants fan, and people hold that against me these days. Anyway, well, we could trade baseball cards after school. So that scene will play some relevance later. We get another one of these model shots, and if you look, the models aren't that complex. They look a bit cheap and a bit shitty in places. But I think that's to just add to that air of there's a bit of artificialness about this environment. It seems a bit constructed and in an ad hoc fashion. But all this city is about to come to a standstill.
It is constructed.
Well, yeah, but I was trying to, think of the more deeper meaning that could be attached to that statement. So anyway, it is midnight, tuning time. John's just checking things out, and he gets to see a tuning take place properly, where actual huge parts of the city just get reformatted before his eyes. And the doctor, with all his made-up memories, he's out there ready to start injecting people. And those syringes just, scream of steampunk. If anybody wants to be cheeky and get themselves a message up on the screen, it's super chats only tonight, because this one's a deep one. I want to get through it, but I've just been pinged privately. Why aren't you putting chat on screen, Trev? Well, it's paid to play tonight. I'm sorry. I know that sounds shitty, doesn't it? But I just want to. Yeah, I mean,
we're an hour and a half in, and I'm not sure we're halfway through the movie yet. So.
I know. Well, we are getting there. We've still got another batch of slides after this one. But the doctor's there away injecting. I would not want one of those fuckers in my skull. Not one bit. But do you remember how that couple were in that really shitty, grotty old apartment eating clam chowder? And there's a good part, and I couldn't include it because for timing and size-wise files. When the tuning starts, they both end up face down in the clam chowder. And I just thought that was just so funny. And then by the end of the tuning, they're living the life of luxury. They're quite upper class now and quite affluent and well off. And there's a great scene just before the tuning finishes where the candles just ignite themselves. And it's just done in such a way, it's like, whoa. You know, it's not groundbreaking, but it's just something about it just makes it feel, you know, it's like click your fingers and something happens, a bit like Q from Star Trek. It's got that sort of moment to it. Do you know what I mean? Like the magic has finally happened. There you go. And everybody's oblivious to what's actually taking place.
You know, if you want to get creepy
here.
We'll get to that in a minute, but Goaty's talking, Phobos. Hold your tongue, sir.
If you want to get creeped out more, you look at the gauge on those needles, and there's a skull in the way of the needles that they're getting injected with, and he has to do them very quickly, which means that every single person in this city has to have had a hole drilled through their skull for quick.
Yeah.
Which may be what that pinpoint is if they brought every single person in and they wanted to make sure it was in the right spot every time.
Yeah, I was thinking about that earlier. I thought these people surely must have brain damage having a needle like that jammed right in the frontal cerebral cortex and frontal lobe. That's the word I'm trying to get to.
I always assume it must be like, you know, if you're getting chemo and you get a port put in, there must be some kind of like port in their head and it just...
Yeah, they normally tend to put the paddy ports on your chest these days. Like sort of pacemaker area.
They're normally not injecting brain chemicals, so...
Well, yeah. Horses for courses and different strokes for different folks. I had a completely different stroke to the old lady who was in the next room to me in the hospital. She was a nun, Sister Mary Margaret, who at 3:30 in the morning, you know, when you wake up in the middle of the night and you think, oh my God, there's some fucker watching me. She was at the end of my bed watching me and she went, where am I? I'm like, shit. Oh, dear. I think I need a bedpan nurse, quick. So moving on to this scene, Mr. Hand thinks it's more useful to the collective of the strangers that if he's endowed with the memories of John Murdoch, that'd make him more efficient at finding John Murdoch and bringing him in, because he is he's basically like the key to the knowledge that they're seeking. We'll talk more about that once the reveal comes. But we can, if you've never seen this film, we can tell you about it a little bit later on. Goatee.
We also find out later that he had an alternative reason for insisting on this particular.
Well, yeah,
this particular thing.
Because it's Richard O'Brien and he's one sick fuck.
I have heard a ton of reviews about this movie where they make comments about how it's not that good because they have a hive mind, and having a hive mind, none of their behaviors make any sense. The very important difference is they do not have a hive mind. They have they have collective memories, but they still have semi-individual personalities.
Yeah, each one is individual. Yeah, I agree to that.
They just only have one set of experiences to draw from.
And the thing is, the very thing that they're looking for, they've actually got, but they don't quite realize it. It's not apparent to them, if you think about it in the grand scheme of things. So anyway, Mr. Hand, he gets an injection. He's got that little like sort of like a gimp mask type thing with the hole in ready to go. In the meantime, John looks back on some of his memories. He's got a postcard from Shoal Beach from his uncle Carl, who he looks up in the style of Sarah Connor. In fact, I could have done that, done a nice little video where it goes down in the phone book to Connor, Sarah Connor. That'd be quite funny, but not many people get my in-jokes. So John heads off into the subway, and it's a real subway, not the sandwich shop, which I call £10 cob because it's ridiculously priced, and they've gone to shit these days. While he's down in the subway, he looks at the map where the line ends, and it ends at Shell Beach. But yet again, nobody can seem to get to Shell Beach. Everybody knows it. And I thought I'd chuck this in because I thought this was such a great shot. The way this is set up, the way it's lit, the way it's framed, everything about it. I mean, Jennifer Connelly, she's got that eerie sort of like yellowy glow. There's the automat, and that's it. Got that skull lighting. But if you look just above Jennifer Connelly's shoulder, there's like another skull figure that's been backlit there. Can you see that?
Above her shoulder on the
left hand shoulder. Obviously, the other part of the skull bit is where her head is, but there's like an eye hole there and a mouth.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah, I see.
Which is kind of reminiscent to the skull face that we see on the front of the automat there.
What I found interesting is that the shot we were talking about before, where she's in the dark. In this case, she's looking for knowledge, and she's like walking into the light. So she's sort of half in the dark and half lit this time.
There's a kind of feeling like there's a hunger for explanation. There's an unsatisfied curiosity in some of the players, like William Hurt's character, Jennifer Connelly's character. They become more and more curious, and it's almost as if some of the main players in this, they're all becoming a little bit more John Murdoch without realizing it. It's like he's rubbed off on them.
Yeah, I think in her case, it's the emotional connection. I think in the police officer's case, they made him a little too fastidious and a little too observant and a little too smart. So that as soon as something seemed off, he was going to notice it.
I wonder if, in some small part, that these characters are all like aspects of John's mind, like bits of him that are missing. Like Emma's the heart, William Hurt's character is the logic, that kind of thing. And Uncle Carl's the link, the familial link to his past and his family. You think there could be certain elements of that which Alex has tried to put across there and leave as breadcrumbs for us as the viewer to try and pick up on?
I think your argument was good until you got to Uncle Carl.
Okay, then we'll leave it there then. Anyway, moving on. I can't remember why I left this in. What happened at Neptune's kingdom, Phobos?
It's another skull.
There you go. Yeah, it's another, like an ominous face looking down at you.
With a giant maw that is going to consume. I think you got it backwards, rather than it's all about a collective mind, collective memories. Instead of the other people being aspects of John's characters, actually, they are all culminating. They are all bleeding into each other's character because of the collective memory and exchange that constantly happens. So they are all getting pieces of each other every time they do a switchover. But
yeah, but the thing is, the thing that the strangers are looking for isn't about personality. That what they're looking for is unknowable.
Right, but it's an unintended consequence, a side effect of their experiment, which is often a theme when people are trying to discover something. They discover something other than what they're looking for, oftentimes something unpleasant that is the beginning of their undoing.
And this proves that John Murdoch isn't our murderer, because while John's going to his Uncle Carl's, we get another afflecked. She's afflicted by tragedy. Another dead hooker. Is that a 304?
She looks like Angelina Jolie, doesn't she?
Not really. We got a 403. Oh, that Affleck. I'm sorry, Goatee. You'll be getting so pissed off at me, but I had to include that. So while hooker number 6 has been found, actually, she's not hooker number 7. Don't you-
7, I think. I think they said
Yeah.
6 earlier.
So this is Shell Beach, and John's looking at old movies of his dad with his Uncle Carl. So Uncle Carl's like, he's like, well, do you remember how to get to Shell Beach? And Uncle Carl's like, what if I know? But yeah, again, there's this thing that everybody knows this thing, but they don't know it at all. That is just such a contradiction in itself, and surely a point of frustration for everybody.
Well,
You know,
except that it's not. They all just chalk it up to, you know, oh well, my memory's not as good as it used to be, or that's one of the things that's interesting is that they've almost been like programmed to not think too much about how come
yeah.
how come it's never daylight, how come I can't figure out how to get to Shell Beach.
Oh.
I wonder why they even put Shell Beach in the city at all.
I don't know. I think that is like a breakout point that's put in there that John's got to achieve to break this cycle of tuning. You know, the never-ending pole shift and moving things around, and these creatures are trying to look for something that, like we said, is it's unknowable. You know, it's one of them things. It's there. It's just you can't explain it. It's not a sum of the parts. It's just a side effect of the human condition, for want of a better word.
You have to
So
give them, you have to give them the memory of sunlight and water if they can't have sunlight and water.
yeah, but the thing is, nobody chases it. Everybody's living in this perpetual darkness, and they're not realizing it. It's like, oh well, we know this thing, but we don't know this thing. You know,
Sounds like every office worker ever.
They had to
pretty
put
much.
They had to put Shell Beach in here. That is the lure for their subjects. That is the longing that they had to put an element of desire and sort of a goal. It's the ultimate prize or dream that the souls of the subjects are longing for. So that's why without Shell Beach, they wouldn't have a focus for that.
Yeah, it's almost like a goal in a game. It's like the end of the level. That's what you've got to do. You've got to achieve that thing to obviously get it. But in the meantime, Mr. Handon is
like every office worker ever.
well. Do you know, I've very limited experience working in an office. I've been fortunate enough to work for myself for for over 3 decades now. So I've been my own boss.
In general, it just seems like most people do jobs they hate to buy stuff they don't really need with this mysterious goal of like someday I'll get to retire and go someplace pretty.
I made a solemn promise to myself very early on that I would not be put in a fucking cubicle, and I wouldn't spend my days just earning tax money till I die. Screw that. I've got better things to do with my time. So anyway, Mr. Hand and his posse trying to take out John. John gets the upper hand, and he actually gets the one up on Mr. Hand. And then little bastard gets one up and gives John Murdoch a hand because he was hanging. And at the end of this fight, he was hanging out of a window. Sadly, I had to drop the scene for space sake and getting all the slides together. And this little bastard just bites
Does he
John.
have braces on?
I don't know. I think it's like his alien. Oh crap! I just gave it away. Fuck. Sorry. But anyway, I think it's just a side effect of having whatever it is inside your head. But he doesn't half chomp down on John, and John eventually gets arrested. And I like this. We know Emma's there, but she fills the rest of the shot with a reflection, and I think that's clever use. Because if you look where John's looking, Alex almost got the shot superb. If John's eyes would slightly down a little bit more, he would have been actually looking at Emma's reflection and at her at the same time.
This is after he gets picked up by the cop, right?
Yeah.
And rescued, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I've had to be very economical on these slides towards the end. But I tried to get the most salient points in.
Did you get the rooftop chase slide in?
Well, I think that kind of was it. That's the most I could get in,
Okay.
thanks to Restream.
That's the same rooftop that Trinity runs across in the Matrix.
It is. I didn't want to say anything because, yet again, this film now, its laurels rest on the fact that it came out before The Matrix, and a lot of it ended up in The Matrix. But Mr. Hand turns up at the police station, and he does his usual sleep, but he does it in that Rocky Horror voice, and I love it. Sleep.
I like your
dear.
imitation.
You should watch the Crystal Maze. He does this. Okay, it's a 3-minute game. It's called Don't Lose Your Limbs. And he locks people. I don't know if you had a version of the Crystal Maze over in the States, but it's basically it's like a themed universe of 4 different sectors, like Aztec, space, mystery, mining, all that kind of shit. And it's basically logic and physical games. And you get a set amount of time. If you get a crystal, fair enough. Crystals add up to 5 seconds in the crystal dome. And then he does this thing at the end when everybody gets in this dome, and he goes, "Start the fans, please." And these fans whiz up all these like candy bar wrappers, gold and silver. And for every gold you got so many points. For every silver, you get a point taken off. And it was just basically a free-for-all at the end. And that ran for so long, and he ended up giving it up, and I can't remember why he did, but it was for a very valid reason. And Ed Tudor Pole took it over, and it wasn't quite as good after that. It kind of lost its magic. So the hand gang, shall we call them, turn up to get John Murdoch, but he's already done one. But these guys just look so fucking freaky. And the guy at the back, he's always more in silhouette than the rest of them. You never actually get quite a good look at his face. You never get a reveal with him. He's the most mysterious one of the bunch. And I think he could quite possibly be the most dangerous one. The little kid one, he's the freakiest because he's a little bastard. The train guy from The Matrix, he's just big and tall and scary. He's like Lurch. But Richard O'Brien here, he revels in this role. He's great in it. It's just fantastic. If an actor had a sublime role, this would be one of them for Richard O'Brien. Any time this week, guys?
I'm busy coming up with various theories as to why the guy in the back is in shadow. That's one of the things I love about this movie, is that no matter how many times I watch it, I find new things to come up with theory head canon about.
Do you know, I find that a lot with David Fincher films, apart from Alien 3. There is no Alien 3, and there is no Alien Earth.
I mean,
there is no AVP. Anyway,
the director's cut, isn't.
I'm curious to see the original theatrical release now. I tried to find the one for Blade Runner for the other week's show, and I just could not find it for love nor money. And that was the cut that was always on TV here when I was growing up. That was the one with the narration. Anyway, moving swiftly on. Officer Bumstead, or Detective Bumstead, he's grown curious with what John's told him, and he sort of gets a mini confession out of the doctor. And obviously now John Hurt's heard it, he believes John Murdoch's story all that more. And he tries to educate the detective a little bit more, and he finds this wall where it says "Welcome to Shell Beach," and he rips it open, and they're looking into space, which adds another layer of the puzzle that they've got through. They're nearly at the bottom of the lasagna now, to use a Garfield analogy there, but never mind. But this is great. It's kind of like a bit of a reveal, and the look on John Hurt's face, it's like, what? It's like reality's shattered. You can be living a life and thinking it's one thing, and then when you finally discover, even John Murdoch didn't know. Even the doctor didn't know. But the hand gang turns up, Mr. Trainman here, as we'll call him. But he just looks so freaky. He really does. I bet he's an absolute sweetheart in real life. I bet he's such a nice bloke. You couldn't ask for a nicer friend.
Well, there is something about the sheer size of certain people. Andre the Giant was supposedly a great guy, but he was just so big that it made him imposing, and it was really easy for him to like play a scary character.
Yeah. It's like he was playing intimidation on easy mode.
That's why
Greg,
he was so gentle, because he had to compensate for the fact that his physicality intimidated the crap out of everybody. I hear he was a very gentle, nice person.
And he spent 90, he was a high functioning alcoholic, like many WWF wrestlers. I said WWF, not WWE, because it was WWF and it should still be WWF. Fuck Prince Philip and fuck pandas. Screw him. So he has a fight. Sorry, what you were saying, Goatee?
nothing. I was just, like Greg Davies is a comedian, but he's still huge. And when he gets on the rare occasion you see him angry, he's also very imposing.
Well, everybody at some point in their life has got that capacity to be intimidating to somebody somewhere.
Well, they do, but I think it's like, it's like people always are afraid of pit bulls because they say, well, they bite a lot, but there are actually a lot of toy breeds that bite much more frequently.
Yeah.
But
Look at chihuahuas.
But they can't take your hand off.
True.
So there's just something about size that just makes someone more imposing automatically.
So, as a woman, from a woman's perspective, is size important? Sorry, I had to ask that. I had to lower the tone at some point during the show. It is expected. Anyway, moving on. Bit of a fight, bit of a rumble, and it doesn't end well because the guest and Detective Bumstead end up going through a force shield into space. And then we get sort of like a bit of one of our first main reveals. And first time I saw this, you know what went through my head? I thought Terry Pratchett was going to sue somebody. This just reminded me of Discworld. I don't know about you guys. You familiar with Terry Pratchett at all?
Oh, yeah. But
there's no turtles, so.
Well, yeah, it's near as damn it.
I was thinking the Borg. Actually, a lot in this movie is very Borg-like as well, with the lighting and the green and the pasty face people. But this is the part that I feel like was too explicit, and they could have left something for the imagination.
What question would you have answered? Dare I ask?
You asked if size mattered.
Oh dear. Oh, go on. You might as well have a go at lowering the tone.
Size only matters for the unskilled.
I like that. I must be a fucking Jedi master.
If you lack skill, then size helps.
Well,
to a point. To a point.
I will say too small is better than too big.
Well, I will use a Star Wars quote in this instance. Do or do not. There is no try. There we go. If in doubt, don't whip it out.
I never noticed what was going on underneath the city. I guess the engines.
No, they don't elaborate on it either.
Those are the machines.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. But we don't get like a good view underneath or a further explanation as to what these creatures came from, or, if they're gelatinous life forms, how have they created this technology? Surely they can't tune things into existence without the machines to tune.
I feel like
machines enhance their tuning. It does not cause their tuning.
Phobos, you were going to say something?
Yeah, I feel like the space behind the tear in the Shell Beach wall was enough, and this just sort of destroys any other alternative interpretation. This is a very American ending. It takes the rest of the mystery away, and it's very literal. And I feel like we could have done without this, but it's also kind of a cool looking scene. So,
Oh yeah, I mean this scene covers a multitude of sins in the plot or the script. Anywhere where it's lacking. But the thing I like about this film is it doesn't rely too heavily on the effects, whether they're CGI or practical. But good news for the strangers. They finally got John Murdoch. And the reason they want John Murdoch is because all this has been one big elaborate experiment in discovering what the human soul is. These creatures need to discover it if their species is to survive. They're a dying species.
Well, they
They,
think that that's what will save their species.
oh yeah, oh yeah.
They've kind of glommed on to that idea.
Well, they're not seeing the wood for the trees, are they? They're not seeing what they really need. They've got this idea of what they think will put things right for them, but
Their
it won't
scientific method
necessarily
is
do it.
definitely lacking.
Hmm. But it doesn't particularly end well for the bad guys because our good doctor has put a memory into Murdoch's mind and explains to him that it's given him a bit of a dash of everything when it comes to tuning. So now instead of being able to do it only when he feels threatened and doing it subconsciously, he's now got the full power. He's on a level with Mr. Book because Mr. Book is like the head entity. He's now got the ability and power to take on Mr. Book. So, go on.
Did you notice those flashbacks? Kiefer Sutherland does not look like his crippled self. He looks like his self before the strangers came.
Correct. Yes, you're right. And yet again, it's another breadcrumb that's hidden in the loaf, if you will.
Does this version have the scene where they torture him and force him to inject himself?
Yes, I did include that scene, but I opted to cut that out purely for space reasons because I did plan it out. We had 3 batches of slides, all with 34 images, but for some reason, the last batch of slides whether it's because there's quite a bit of light coming up and a bit more detail, it seemed to chew into the data quite vigorously. So I had to be a bit more economical and mindful of the space that I've got. I didn't want to, put too much in that was unnecessary to miss out on the right things. So anyway, John manages to get out and he has a bit of a battle royal with Mr. Book. And this is like fighting. They're like walruses on a beach, but using tuning. And now you get to see like a raw power version of tuning, but they're using it to fight. It's quite a good scene, really. If anybody wants to step in anytime.
The buildings. Go
Go on,
ahead.
Doty. Go
No,
on,
I was
Doty.
just going to say it reminds me of something and I can't think what.
Yeah, it kind of did me too, where the like a lot of shouting and and waves of energy coming emitting from somebody.
It's
And I
the
couldn't quite
graphics
place it.
specifically, but I couldn't figure out what it was.
Are you thinking Return of the Jedi?
No, I didn't.
The lightning
No.
and the
No.
No, because that's lightning. This is very much more bloody
Focused
than that.
energy, like mental focusing. But it's still good. But unfortunately for Mr. Book, it turns out that John Murdoch, because he's got a soul, it gave him the upper hand in the way because he'd got something that Mr. Book hadn't. He got the ability to adapt and, basically focus and think a way around the problem a bit more. He got more mental latitude, even though he was a less evolved creature compared to the strangers. But that human element, that's what gave John the upper edge in the grand scheme of things. And this is what's left of the tuning room. John's managed to completely destroy everything, but now he's got sole control of the machines. And then he opens all like these floodgates, which start chucking water out into the region where there's this force field around this city. So he's essentially creating himself a shell beach. But in the meantime, unfortunately for John, the good doctor did tell Murdoch that during the tuning, his wife no longer exists and she's become somebody else and he can't change it back. So now Emma is now Anna, somebody completely different. But she's on the bus to Shell Beach, which magically stops now because in previous scenes, the bus, the trains, everything like to do with Shell Beach didn't stop at the appropriate stops. And for the first time in this environment, John controls the ship or the environment, shall we say? Because they're like ants in an ant farm. He turns it around and he points things into the sun. So the first time they get sun, By the end of the day, they'll all look like barbecued or George Hamilton. But John's managed to create Shell Beach. Well, he thinks this is Shell Beach, but he goes to the end of the pier, and you get all this now. You've got the ocean and something to look at, and he gets to meet Anna for the first time, even though he knows her. But in a way, this is good because he's starting with a blank slate. He actually did love his wife. The memories of that particular life are stuck with him. You know, he's perma-programmed now. He'll forever be John Murdoch. And he's in love with this woman. And whoever's clipping the nails, can they do it after the show?
It's a little weird to me that like if you finally caught this guy and you want to get him imprinted and you got to get everybody together, like why would you take the time to imprint? Because they say shut it all down, and yet they take the time to imprint her.
I don't know. I think this is just a plot device. It's giving John the opportunity to start fresh. You
Well,
know?
that's what I'm saying, is that this is the one thing that feels kind of contrived to me.
Yeah, I think it might have been one of those things where we're getting to the end now. We've kind of done all the big stuff. How do we keep it going? We'll give it the happy ending. And a lot of people didn't like that. There wasn't originally going to be a plan for a happy ending.
Really? I don't think I knew that.
Yeah, I read that somewhere.
What was it supposed to be originally?
I don't know. It was just left open-ended. It was going to be left ambiguous, so you could, you know, the city's no longer dark. You know, he's freed everybody. Let's see what happens next. Obviously, this wasn't going to be a follow-on story or anything, but I suppose in a way, if you've got that element of, well, I wonder what happened to those people. You've got that forever, like, never-ending story. Your mind can carry on with that story, make it flourish, and you can develop it yourself. You know, you can carry on making the story to your own. You can tune it how you like it. So, you know, John's getting a second chance at life again after having. We don't know how long these people have been in this environment. This could be a generational thing. John Murdoch, he could have been born there, not kidnapped by the strangers. But, you know, for all we know, his great-great-great-grandparents might have been taken. There's no way to establish a point of reference. You know, we don't know how long these people have been in there. It could have been eons. You know, it could have been
We do
millennia.
know people die, which means they would have to keep the numbers somewhat.
Yeah, they've got to keep the guinea pigs well fed, and you know, give them an environment where they can reproduce and whatnot, and carry on and keep making subjects. But then again, there's not enough meat on the bone to make an informed decision or fill in the gaps for yourself, if you know what I mean. John says, "No, that's Shell Beach over there," or does she say that? I can't remember.
He asks her, "Do you know where Shell Beach is?" And she says, "I think that's it over there."
Yeah. And here we go with the happy ending. That's it. That's the end of the movie. They don't walk off into the sunset together. They walk away from the sunset together to go over to Shell Beach. But, you know, John's got the capacity now to start over fresh, have a new life, you know, see where things go. Who knows what's going to happen?
I mean, Batman told us what's going to happen.
Well, yeah, like many other films.
You either die or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
Well, yeah.
I mean, he's basically a god in this city. He is the only god in this city.
Well, he is now. He's the only one that can tune everything.
And he has to. It's not like he can just say, "Okay, I'm getting rid of my tuning powers. I'm going to tune myself to not tune," because this city is still going to have night and day, which means he has to be like constantly rotating it.
Yeah, he's going to have to do the thinking for everybody else on a grand scale. He's the man that's got to make everything tick. So by winning and getting what he wants in the end, he's basically condemned himself to, for want of a better analogy, he's got that cubicle life now, whether he wants to or not.
Well,
But I
and
tell
it's
you
going to be
something, everybody's
it's
going to
gonna
be
be
fucked when he dies.
it's also going to be very hard to not abuse it.
Yeah. Well, does absolute power corrupt absolutely in the long run? Who knows? Is it all a test of character? Will John become through a victim of his circumstance, will he end up becoming the bad guy? We don't know. Yet again, Alex Proyas has left this wide open to interpretation. I suppose at the end of the day, the only limitation on where this story goes now is your own imagination.
Yeah, there are many movies that have supposedly happy endings that if you think about, where they have to be a month from now, they're not very happy.
Yeah. What do you think, Phobos? You've been unusually quiet for the past 10 minutes. Are you okay? Have you
I
bit your
forgot
lip?
what I was going to say. The Graduate is a good example of one of those happy, not happy endings, and the director was aware of it. And that final little look between the two of them as they're riding off in the bus, like, oh, fuck, what do we do now? I think you put something out there, and now it's out there, and now we're going to get a sequel, Dark City 2. And you shouldn't have said anything. Now we're doomed.
I'm always consistently terrified that somebody's going to try and remake this movie.
No, if they do, they need something needs to be done to stop them. But there is talk. Proyas has been hinting quite some time now about a TV adaptation of this. I don't think that would go down very well, not in my book anyway. Or my opinion would be, yet again, like Alien Earth, it's not something that you could transpose onto the medium of television and have it work in an episodic environment. I don't think it's designed for that.
I want to know where he got the sand. I see where the water came from.
Look, you're missing the point. You are missing the point. He is fucking Neo. This is his Matrix. He can do anything now.
Yeah, he can just make things.
Make sand? Okay. Then we have our beach.
If he wants his doctor's fingers to disappear when it's his prostate exam, he can bloody well do that now.
Yeah, the original ending was going to be more of an exploration into the information about the strangers and their relationship with humanity, and much more ambiguous in terms of the personalities left there and discovering. We don't see, except for the weird, creepy, tiny stranger, we don't see any children in this movie, do we?
Apart from Little Bastard.
Yeah, so probably
yeah, you make
not.
a good point. There are no other children.
I'm thinking the hookers are just brought back to life after
it's
the
not
next
Westworld.
tuning. Well, I would imagine that they just keep a constant population through the tuning. Is it tuning or tuning?
It's either or. It doesn't matter. It's like either, tomato, tomato, potato, potato. Who cares? We all know what everybody means, so fuck it. We don't stand on ceremony on this show, I tell you. Goatee, any final thoughts you'd like to include on this one?
So someone in your chat asked if the director's cut is better. I have not seen it, but just the fact that it does not have the voiceover, I'm going to say yes.
Well, I'm guessing this must be the director's cut then, because there was no voiceover on this copy.
There's very little difference between the two. The voiceover is missing. There's the change in who's doing the singing. And other than that, there's only like a couple of minutes runtime difference.
Yeah, you can just turn off the volume at the beginning and make your own director's cut. It really isn't all that.
I think the scene where the doctor is being tortured and injects himself might be a director's cut scene.
No, that's in the theatrical.
Is it in the theatrical? Yeah. I couldn't remember.
Well, where I be sailing, I don't find other versions apart from the director's cut. If you catch the cut of me jib. Yeah.
That's interesting because every place I looked, you couldn't find the director's cut.
Really? Now, I can point you in the right direction after the show. Remind me in the green room.
When he tries to crush Murdoch between two buildings, That's not CGI. That was all practical effects. And a testament to the production team.
There's not many CGI effects in this, to be fair.
No, very few, and they all involve the moving buildings. So.
The visuals are, I'd say, a good 90% practical.
They did Sorry, go ahead.
Practical visuals hold up over time.
Of course they do.
CGI almost never does.
It's like with sci-fi shows. Back in the day when ILM were doing the motion control and the model shots, the multiple passes and the compositing to make ships look good, they look good. And then when they went on to CGI, even though they look good, they still look crap compared to the traditional method of actually filming a real model. That art is wasted. I mean, if I got a science fiction, I mean, I know it's all down to budget, but surely CGI at this point is more expensive than a practical model.
It's not, because apparently the issue is that actors just refuse to leave home to like film on site anymore.
Oh dear, they want everything on a stick.
The whole
So
point
anyway,
of using
I say the actors, but it's cast, crew, directors, actors.
the
Just,
whole point of CGI. Oh, sorry.
No, well, we'll catch up in just a second. So, just going back onto what your sort of final thoughts were. If you had only space for 10 DVDs or Blu-rays on your shelf, would this be in your top 10?
That's a good question.
Would it make the cut? No pun.
I think it probably would, because I'm thinking back and I think I have actually rewatched. My husband is a big DVD collector. I am not, because the movie has to be good enough for me to want to watch it more than once for me to give it shelf space. And I think this has to be one of the top 10 movies that I've watched the most frequently. So that would make it a yes then.
And the same question to you, Phobos.
It would be in the running, but I think if I was really planning for rewatchability, it's a quality movie. It deserves to be in the top 10. But if I'm on a desert island and I have to watch the same stuff over again, I think I'm going to pick different movies just for sheer rewatchability. But that doesn't mean it's not good enough to be in my top 10. But, I was overthink the idea. If I'm really stuck with 10 movies that I have to watch over and over again, I think I'm going to go with something a little more cheery.
For me, this film is one that I subconsciously watch at least once a year. And when I watch it, I do it and savor it. It's like it's one of those movies. You can watch it, but if you watch it too many times, it takes that uniqueness out of it. There's something about this. It's kind of like almost like to use a cliche, it's like a fine wine. It's all right to have a glass every now and again, but if you had too much, you'd lose all appreciation for it. It wouldn't make it on my top 10 list though, which is unfortunate. It's hovering on the cusp. It's 10.5 or 11. You know what I mean? It's kind of like that territory for me. This is a sublime film, and it's really well made. The only thing that went against it is that it was released, because originally it was going to be released in September 97. That was going to be its original release date, but it kept holding off. And then when it came out, it went up and it was competing still against Titanic. Because it came out February 1998. And then when it sort of started gathering a bit of steam, its run ended. And I think it had a very modest budget. It was something, just for example, I know this is going to be wrong, but say the budget was $21 million.
I think you're close. I think it was 22.
Right, and it only made like 20, say it made 21 million. It made 21,200,000 back. It only made a profit of $200,000 in the grand scheme of things. So this is considered like a very expensive flop. But I think it was poor timing. The people, the powers, the people at New Line, and also Fox had a hand in it too. They kind of scuppered its chances by poor timing and circumstance. and ultimately, it became overshadowed. And people thought that this borrowed from The Matrix, whereas it was the complete opposite. The Matrix, the Wachowskis, well renowned for pinching stuff. I've even watched Space 1999 on reruns and noticed stuff and thought, that was in the fucking Matrix. That was in Star Trek. There was a race in Space 1999 called the Borg, funnily enough, who were cyborgs. How bizarre is that? You couldn't make it up, but only in Hollywood. Mr. Phobos, thank you for joining me tonight, sir. It's been an absolute pleasure having you back on.
Cheers.
And it was nice to finally get you on the channel, Goatee. I hope you won't be too scared and you come back often, because it'd be quite nice to have you on.
I'm delighted I could make it. Like I said, it's the Friday night timing usually doesn't work for me, but this worked great. So
yeah, Friday night's a bit more like a fucking zoo when we're all hungry. So it's not everybody's cup of tea, to be fair. That's the decompression point of the week, Friday Night Shite, which is back this Friday at 9 p.m. If anybody would like to partake, you know how to get hold of me. DM me or contact me via the email address that's on my profile here on YouTube. So I want to thank you both for joining me. I've enjoyed locking heads with you tonight, Goatee. Thank you to everybody in the chat who's partaked as well. Catch up with you soon. And just a little bit of an outro. Off on vacation next week. We're back on September 9th. Thank you to these wonderful people for helping to support the channel.